rain has been relentless the entire day. Refuses to stop. It's supposed to stop at 8, then it's at 9, now it says 10.
I woke up to the rain in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Unsure why I was here. I mean, I was born in this state. I have family here. Yet this is where the road took me. I came here looking for the Christmas market, something I wrote about before, but arrived too early. And as I edit this now, I realize something else. I think I've actually been here before. That part comes later. If you watched last week's episode, I tried something a little different to help, well, craft the story together. I'm thinking I might try some of that again. And for those just tuning in here for the first time, my name is Michael. The year I turned 60, I set off on a new challenge to visit all 50 states in the same year, with a focus on small towns, scenic drives, and the stories in between. I documented each journey as it unfolded. This is one of those stories.
Can I just say that it took me forever to set up the shot? It's raining outside. I think I have to drastically change my plans. Actually, I was going to try to reframe this shot over in the sitting area. Checked into not a canopy. It's a Hilton. It's not a Hilton either. What the hell is it? It's a Hyatt place. Let me tell you something. If there was ever a morning that I wanted to be in a bed and breakfast with a nice cup of coffee by the fire, in a comfortable bed, watching the rain come down, maybe the snow, some deer frolicking in the backyard, I picked up this little thing here, this visithistoricbethlehem.com. is a little thing they give you at the front desk. They talk about little services that are here. It's basically a map. This is Bethlehem. This is where to eat and dine. I'm in a great location. I did a walk last night, had a nice dinner, and saw some lights along Main Street. But one of the things I wanted to visit is not open while I'm here. It's actually open the day I leave. However, there are other things going on. I don't know if they're going to happen in the rain, though. The prediction for rain is quite literally, I mean, I'll look at the map again. It's quite literally the entire day. So what does one do when it's raining? Well, you look at museums. You look at inside places to go. So it's going to be some indoor activity, basically. Anyway, I'm going to finish the coffee, collect a couple of small cameras, and go out and kind of do the best we can to explore this town with the conditions that we have.
Been walking around for like 10 minutes trying to find my rental car. Can't seem to find it. I'm clicking and everything. Found it. I think I'm gonna get a green arrow. What do you think? No. Oh, come on.
Well, I had good plans, but as you can guess, the day kind of falls apart. You'll see.
Look at this cute little town. It's Main Street. So this is Main Street in Bethlehem. It's a little more vibrant than my hometown here.
Go past this light, then turn right.
Oh, that's the hotel I wanted to stay at. Hotel Bethlehem. I'm gonna go and check that place out. What am I doing again? I wasn't listening. Go straight.
Turn right, then turn left.
So at the beginning of the video, I alluded to the fact that I was actually here before. Let me dive into that a little bit. Up until a couple of days ago, I didn't actually realize that I had been in Bethlehem before. I mean, I don't know why I didn't remember it. But about 10 or 15, gosh, maybe even 20 years ago, I came up to Bethlehem for my niece's graduation. And I actually went back, I got the pictures to prove it. She went to Moravian College, I believe, or Moravian University. That I'm not really sure. Anyway, somehow while I was wandering around this town on this trip, that didn't really click. I'm not sure why. Anyway, I had a really clear memory of that trip, the ceremony, the family, the drive there. I just don't remember the town. Maybe we were on the other side of the river, perhaps. Anyway, different streets, a different rhythm. Perhaps a version of Bethlehem that I passed through while I was there and maybe didn't explore. So anyway, about this Moravian University. It's one of those schools with really deep roots. It was founded in the 1700s and is one of the oldest colleges in the country. Built on traditions of education, community, and a strong sense of place. Which makes it even better because, again, here I am talking about noticing places. And I somehow missed the fact that this one was already part of my own story. Anyway, here's a few images that have obviously been imagined through some prompts with Midjourney. Been experimenting a lot lately with creating images like this to help some of my stories along. Got a couple more segments I think I'm gonna visit as we continue. We'll get back to the drive. So as you can see, it was raining and some of my plans were starting to fall apart. Some of the places I wanted to visit weren't open. I recorded a bunch of stuff to camera, but it was really hard to understand, and I painfully listened to it when editing this video, and well, let's just say I did it so you don't have to. One thing I want to mention, as this is a personal documentary of my year visiting all 50 states, and that was, I was mentioning to myself that I was fully aware and grateful for the opportunity that was given to me when we moved from this state down to Florida when I was like 15 years old. And I was really appreciating that. I was observing this area of Pennsylvania that had obviously had its challenges when the steel industry kind of collapsed. And I was really wondering what I would have done with my life had I stayed up there. I haven't mentioned many times here in these stories that I ran a business lighting events here in South Florida for over 40 years. And it was an industry that I don't know if I would have ever been aware of or become aware of had I been in Pennsylvania. And it was something that was, I don't know, brought into my world, my creative world, at a fairly young age. And again, that would have never happened had I not been in Florida and met the people that I did. Anyway, I was just appreciating that. So this area I'm riding through here is an area called Lehigh University, and it's really pretty. It's up on the hill that has a beautiful view from there of downtown Bethlehem. And as I zigzagged around here, I couldn't help but wonder what it looks like in the fall, of course, and even in the spring. Definitely a university I think I would have enjoyed going to had I still been in Pennsylvania in my 20s. Anyway, I know I'm rambling here because I've got all this footage. I'm not really sure where I'm going in this story because I just did a lot of driving around, and I think the sky's kind of cool. Anyway, at this point here, we're pulling into an area around the steel stacks, and I was trying to figure this place out. It seemed like a lot of things were closed because of the time of the week I was there, but certainly didn't prevent my imagination from wandering around. I'll send it back to me there in a dreary December at the steel stacks in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
I tell you, if there's ever a place that I would love to fly my drone, it's right here. I mean, I'm on the edge of the parking lot here where it says no trespassing. There's parking for hundreds of cars here. I guess it's closed or the tour. I have no idea. I got to go to an information place. I got to want to find more out about what's going on here. But look at all of the texture and richness of this. Can't imagine what this was like when it was functioning. All these little walkways and stairwells, and just imagine this transformed, sent back 50 years ago, just bustling with people. By the way, I know I'm being watched by 1,000 different security cameras, but I keep an eye on this clown in the green jacket. Very Willy Wonka-ish, isn't it?
It was raining the day I came here. The kind of rain that flattens sound and turns everything gray. I couldn't get close. Tours were closed, fences were locked, and all I had was distance. And flying the drone here? Forget it with all those security cameras. But even from here, this place didn't feel quiet. These are the steel stacks, what remains of Bethlehem Steel. For most of the 20th century, this was one of the most powerful steel producers in the world. The steel that built bridges, skyscrapers, railroads, and even ships that cross the oceans. Standing here now, soaked and half blocked by fencing, my mind kept drifting. Those catwalks, the ladders, the maze of pipes and platforms. It felt less like a factory and more like a movie set. Something out of a strange industrial fairy tale. For a moment, I could almost see it. Silhouettes moving through the steam. Tiny figures crossing the walkways, climbing ladders, disappearing into the shadows. Like Oompa Loompas in a steel mill. Except instead of chocolate, they were forging America. This place once ran day and night, molten steel glowing orange against a Pennsylvania sky, that probably looked as heavy as this one. Thousands worked here. Entire lives were shaped by the rhythm of shifts, heat, noise, and purpose. Today, the furnaces are cold, but the structure still hums. If you're willing to listen. I realize standing here looking at this that sometimes the story isn't in what I can access, but it's in what I can imagine. Of course, I say that now. I wish I was able to go in and check this place out. Maybe next time. Alright, I thought I would be tricky and find some period music to go with this bit, and I realized I don't really need to make this a bit. I have a lot of clips here from this museum. It was a really, really cool museum, so I think we'll just kind of fly through some clips here, and I'll just shut up and let the clips speak for themselves. I'll see you outside the museum when we're done.
There is not a man in power at our Bethlehem Steel Works today who did not begin at the bottom and work his way up. To my mind, the best investment a young man starting out in business can possibly make is to give all his time, all his energies to work, just plain hard work. Nothing is more fatal to success than taking one's job as a matter of course. If more persons would get so enthused over their day's work that someone would have to remind them to go out to lunch, there would be more happiness in the world and less indigestion. If you must be a glutton for work.
So it's raining again. Give you a quick update from the car. What an amazing little museum. The Museum of Industry. It's an industrial name right here. I forget the exact name of it. So when I checked in to get my ticket, I had asked, because I'm like overwhelmed. I'm riding around, I'm looking at these steel stacks, I'm looking at all these buildings, and beyond these fences, I see what used to be a thriving industrial situation here. I mean, I was overwhelmed and somewhat ignorant about what this all is down here. most of our country was built out of what was created in these mills down here. Then when I was leaving, I saw a construction guy, and he was blocking the pamphlet area that I was perusing with his ladder, and he apologized for being in the way. And I was like, oh, that's all right. And I'm like, hey, let me ask you a question. I'm a little overwhelmed at what I'm seeing here. And, you know, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I'm realizing as I went on that tour how much of, what a steel industry this entire state was. He told me there's a walking tour you could do. I guess you can download it to your phone for like $5. It's got takes you a good 3 hours to go through the whole thing. A lot of it's outside and it's raining, so I'm not going to do that. But he said there's a guy that does a walking tour that used to work here. His name is Don, I think. The guy's like 80 years old. He's got a lot of energy. He worked here in this mill for like 30 years. And so he's got a really personal, in-depth, behind-the-scenes story, I guess, of how steel was made. And I can't even imagine the stories this guy's going to tell. I'm not here on Thursday, obviously. I'm heading back home. But I got to tell you, Bethlehem is somewhere I need to come back, because I am super interested in what I'm looking at here. I don't know what I'm looking at, and I'd love to know more. Again, when I was on the other side where nobody was at, and I was taking a couple of stills, I just really, I had that Willy Wonka vibe. Like, you know, there's this, I just envision construction workers and steel workers running all about this thing in its heyday, creating the materials that helped build this nation. And it's exciting to be here around all of this energy that's decaying, but parts of it are preserved. And I think the most important part is the stories that were preserved. And I'm going to miss that. I want to make it back here someday, because I want to learn more. So anyway, but for now, I'm going to go over on the other side of the water, try to get a better view of this here, and plan the attack for the rest of the day.
Well, here we are again in the edit suite. Kind of at a fork in the road here. Do I keep going and make this thing even longer, or do we bring it in for a landing, finish this thing? I think we'll do the latter. I've got another whole segment I want to do. Also, I want to talk a little bit about the Christmas market here that I was a little bit early to. Again, I want to take my time with that one, so check it out next week. Yeah, we'll just take this one out to a little rainy drive in Bethlehem, and we'll continue the story next week. Thanks for watching.